Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society of Schenectady. My name is Robyn Salvin, she, her pronouns for me, please. And I am serving as worship associate alongside worship leader Steve Winters-Bona, who will be examining the bold and vulnerable act of forgiveness. And now we settle more fully in our seats for our worship service.
This morning, Robyn will be kindling our chalice with these words. We light this chalice as a sanctuary for our hearts and minds exactly as they are today. Some of us bring warmth of reconciliation, while others carry heavy weight of unhealed wounds. Some of us carry both at once, navigating the delicate space between a healed relationship and relationships that still need tending. We gather to hold space for one another, extending grace where there is hurt and patience where there is struggle. In the light of this community, I invite you to breathe in peace and breathe out love, and gently begin again.
Let's take some time now to sit together in stillness. You might place your feet on or toward the floor with your hands resting in your lap or wherever they are most comfortable. Closing your eyes or watching the chalice flame can help us to get quiet and centered. I'm going to share This Is Love Still by Faithina Leonard. At the center, not as softness, not as surrender, but as gravity, love. Love that bends the arc of anger so it does not break us. Love that holds grief without asking it to hurry. Love that looks despair in the face and says, "You may sit with me, but you will not decide who I become." We name the fire in our chests, the rage that comes when shots ring out, when uniforms sworn to protect become symbols of fear. When a nation turns its teeth on people for simply existing. Anger is not the enemy. Anger is love's alarm bell. We attune, then we choose what we build with it. We grieve, not quietly, not neatly. We grieve the stolen futures, the bodies turned into headlines, the trust cracked open again and again. Grief is love with nowhere to go, so we give it somewhere. Candles, names, tears, marches, and refusal to forget. And when despair whispers that nothing will change, that cruelty is winning, that the universe is cold, we answer with interdependence. Your life is bound to mine. No one is disposable. No one suffers alone unless we abandon them. We answer with equity. Justice is not abstract. It is breath protected, bodies safe, dignity made real. We answer with transformation. What is broken can become different, not by denial, but by courage and repair. We answer with pluralism. There's more than one way to be human, and every way deserves space to live. We answer with generosity. We will keep giving ourselves to hope, even when it costs. We answer with justice. Love is not neutral. Love takes sides with the harmed, the hunted, the unheard. And always at the center, not naive, not passive, love that stays, love that resists, love that refuses to become what it is fighting. In a time when the country feels like it is attacking its own body, we choose to be the immune system, not by destroying, but healing. This is how we carry anger without becoming it. This is how we honor grief without drowning. This is how we journey through despair and still extend our hands. Love, not as a feeling, but as a practice. Love, still. Today's reading is Release by UU pastor Peter Friedrichs. I wish I were like the trees who let their leaves go gracefully without regret, or the tumbling stream that flushes silt to the sea, exchanging murkiness for blessed clarity, or the dandelion who blows its head to the subtle breeze, unleashing its future without fear or loss. Instead, I drive white-knuckled, defensive, as we were taught, tense and guarded for what may come. I keep a death grip on my life. If you asked me for my dying wish, it would not be for 10 more wishes. It would be to let go of wishing anymore. Wishing I'd made different choices and that I hadn't hurt you as I did. And to forego these old and dusty grudges that I keep like pictures in a shoebox beside my bed. I long to embrace my life with a lover's touch, or as you would an injured wren, precious, tender, true. Instead, regret and fear, twin anchors, hold me fast, close in against the shore. Cast off, I hear them call from the open, exotic lands my heart yearns for. But the waters in between my here and theirs hold unknown hazards, unlike this dark, familiar port. This day, a prayer to ease my grip on what once was, or what is meant to be, that I might find myself content to drift and float upon life's boundless sea.
Forgiveness is one of those things everyone tells you is important, but very few people tell you how to do it. We don't have to look very hard to find the benefits that forgiveness gives. Reduce stress, better health, better relationships. We've all probably all heard them before. I've listened to sermons inviting me toward a path of forgiveness. I've witnessed firsthand the benefits of people making or people asking and for others granting that forgiveness. Maybe some of you have too. And maybe, like me, some of you have struggled with the how in the forgiveness process. I know how to say the words. Unlike the people of Grudgeville, I didn't forget. The wise person said, "You must really mean it." Well, what does that even mean? How do you get to meaning it? There are parts of me that have not wanted to forgive people for the harm they've caused me. Now, psychologists think there are times when it's okay not to forgive someone when the hurt continues to happen, when you haven't processed what has happened to you or what you did, when you aren't ready, when it's not safe. You get to choose when you ask for or grant forgiveness. It doesn't have to be on anyone else's timeline. Some of us forget the power we wield in choosing. The things that I needed to forgive weren't new to me. They were, in fact, decades old and continue to impact me until recently. Yet there were parts of me that didn't want to forgive the harm. The resentment, the anger, and the pain felt like a warm, familiar blanket that kept out the cold. I felt they protected me in the moments where I needed them so that the hurt wouldn't happen again. The moments after, though, were harder. I was reliving the trauma repeatedly because I wanted to feel justified in one moment and then miserable in dozens of moments later. I felt that as long as I held on to the resentment and the pain, a part of me had hoped the past would somehow be repaid, repaired, or balanced. I also learned at a young age that holding on to old wounds could become a shield. And if I expected to be hurt, then maybe I couldn't be surprised by it. You may have been in a situation where you know what the right thing for you to do is, but you can't because you aren't ready, or you just don't have the time or the ability to at that moment. I have been in that spot with forgiveness for a long time. I didn't know how to let go. The best way I can explain it, or the best way I can explain this feeling or situation for me, are a few lines from the Don Henley song, Heart of the Matter. And they go like this, and I won't sing it. What are these voices outside love's open door that make us throw off our contentment and beg for something more? The trust and self assurance that lead to happiness, they're the very things I kill, I guess. Back to my original question. How do I get from where I am to where I need to be? With time and healing and a lot of help, I discovered the answer I have been looking for is in the question I have been asking all along. How? How stands for honesty, open mindedness, and willingness, which are core spiritual principles used in the 12-step recovery programs like Alcoholics Anonymous to overcome addiction and change your life. Honesty, I had to be willing to tell the truth to myself about my problems, my feelings, and actions instead of hiding from them or lying to myself. I needed to be open. I had to listen to either new ideas or voices and accept that I don't know everything or have all the answers. And then it's okay that I don't have all the answers. And then I had to be willing. I had to be prepared to act and do whatever I needed to do to heal and grow. My experience with this process surprised me. I didn't need to tell the people who hurt me that I forgave them. This wasn't about restoring those relationships. It was about changing my own relationship with the memories. I wasn't excusing what had happened or pretending it didn't matter. I was choosing to stop letting those moments control my present. Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison fighting a racist system of oppression, once said, resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. I realized I had been poisoning myself for years. So I took an inventory of the harm. I sat by myself, my dining room table, and wrote down whatever came to mind. It wasn't easy. I didn't want to do it. All that pain and resentment came flooding back, and I still chose to move forward. I was honest with myself. I was open to listen to everything that came out of me, and I was willing to do it. I wasn't shocked by the anger and resentment and vitriol that came out of me onto that paper. What did surprise me was the compassion, empathy, and understanding that also came out onto that paper. When I was done, I felt lighter, different. But I also knew I couldn't hold on to that piece of paper anymore. So I gave it to someone for safekeeping. It was too painful to keep near me. I was afraid it was going to get sucked back into me. Releasing those thoughts from my mind and onto the paper released the burdens I was carrying with me. It allowed me to focus on other things that I needed to heal and work on. I was making progress, not being perfect. Now, how do I know what I did really worked for me, or how can you trust me? And I could say, because I say so, but that may not be proof enough for you. So let me share this. For as long as I can remember, I've had a recurring nightmare about people trying to get me. It always felt so real, and I remember waking up startled and scared and all sorts of things. Now, my spouse Abby can attest to this because apparently I talk in my sleep. There's a part of me that thinks she's making that up, but She has been putting up with me screaming and kicking in the middle of the night for over 20 years with these people trying to get me. After I went through this process, I have not had that nightmare. Now, unfortunately, Abby still says I talk in my sleep. No. And one of the last times I woke up was because I was on a side quest to defeat an evil wizard. I count that as a win. Abby may not, but I do. Maybe your way won't involve journaling. Maybe it will involve therapy, prayer, conversation, meditation, or simply more time. Whatever your path looks like, I hope you find it. Because forgiveness doesn't change the past, it changes the future. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, it can even change your dreams. Go into the world remembering that healing takes honesty, openness, and willingness, and relationships still need our tending. May you hold on to your complexities with kindness and extend the same grace to others.